Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the MMA Corner Prediction Show. It's tonight we are going to give you our thoughts and predictions on UFC 177, Dillashaw versus Barao II. As always, tonight's episode is brought to you by BattleBomb, the only pain reliever with the knockout power. BattleBomb.com. Check them out. Audio for tonight's episode is powered by Soul. Power, clarity, comfort. Soul Electronics. Get you some. I'm your host, Josh Davis, alongside, as always, co-host Jason Shelkey. Jason, how you doing this evening?
What's good, my man? I'm looking forward to some. I guess there's some fights going down Saturday, so
Well, I'm sure somewhere, but we'll have to see. And special guest for tonight from MMA Weekly, Mr. Eric Fontanez. Eric, how you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm happy to talk about some MMA-ness leading into this fight weekend.
Well, we love having you on board, and I have to be honest, because usually no matter what the UFC throws at us, I try and find some positive spin on the fight card and try and justify some reason why fight fans should pay their hard-earned money for the card. And I have to be honest, for this one, I struggle to do so. Now, again, I'm a fight guy, so I'm going to pony up my hard-earned money and get this card. But, guys, let's be honest. Looking at this card from top to bottom, it has TJ Dillashaw defending his title for the first time against Renan Barao. But other than that, seriously, what does this card have to offer fight fans to pay their hard-earned money? I don't think it has anything, but that's just me. Eric, I want to open it up with you. What are your thoughts?
It's no secret that the UFC has struggled to really put together some fight cards that are, that have the draw that they used to 3-4 years ago. Their pay-per-view buys have gone down. The number of cards have gone up. A lot of people say that it's watered down now, and that the sense that you used to get where it was leading into a fight card, and then all of a sudden it was fight week, and you started to get chills going through your body and all that stuff. That rarely happens nowadays, and this is an example of why it doesn't happen nowadays, because you have a fight card with 10 fights, and you can, off the top of the head, name maybe 3 people on the card, and it's tough. As an MMA fan, I can imagine that you at one point were looking at pay-per-view cards as the excuse to get together with your boys, the excuse to go out and cast a fight at a bar and things like that. You would happily cough up the $45 to $55 on your cable or satellite bill. And a card like this, it's difficult to justify spending $55 because you're basically buying a main event, a championship fight with a lighter weight class, and we all know the lighter weight classes don't really sell all that well, and then a bunch of other fights that you could have seen on opening up a prelim card a few years ago. So it's tough to stomach the current environment in MMA right now, with the UFC having so many cards and spreading their talent so thin. So it's not the same as it was before, and it's tough going into this weekend.
Shelkey, give us your thoughts.
well, Eric has just done, as he's done many times over the years, put it a lot more eloquently than I ever could. Um,
It's because I had a drink before the show. I think that's why.
That'll do it. So that's been your secret. I need to start doing that. But no, I mean, Eric's completely right, man. I mean, it was not too long ago that whenever UFC was holding a pay-per-view, you get pumped up, you get that warm, fuzzy feeling inside, you get hyped up about it. And now with the UFC having 40 cards a year, it's hard to really get excited about any single event because everything's being pushed, and there's so much talent being brought up, and the talent pools are being ran thin. And I think that this is a perfect example of a card that, besides the main event, really doesn't deserve to be on pay-per-view. I mean, if this, the rest of this card, this is a Fight Pass card, maybe a Fox Sports 1 card, but, just because you're having TJ Dillashaw and Renan Barao as the main event, I don't think justifies it as a pay-per-view event.
Yeah, I have to agree 100%. I don't think it's a pay-per-view event. Now, in the UFC's defense, and not that they need me to defend them, and nor do I really ever do so. This between uh, Machida and Weidman, which was the last pay-per-view event that they had, 175, because obviously 176 was canceled. We've had 7 free UFC events, so I will give them a little bit of credit. They have definitely given fans everything that they've asked for, and so I understand why they're trying to force feed us this pay-per-view. But that's the only thing I can say about this. As far as trying to spin it in a positive manner of why fans should buy it. And that's simply because the last 7 events that you guys have watched have essentially been for free. Sorry, guys, that's the best I can come up with because, again, this card just does not defy it. But with that being said, no disrespect to any of the fighters on the card, you guys all would beat the crap out of me. So let's get into breaking it down. Right off the bat, we have Damon Jackson and Yancy Medeiros. Shelky, give us your thoughts first.
Yancy came in as a pretty good prospect. He came in, 9-0, and then has failed to look impressive whatsoever in the UFC. He's dropped 2 out of his 3. One of them, I believe, was a no contest, if I remember correctly. Or Damian Jackson, he's another guy coming in, making his UFC debut, 9-0, pretty well-rounded, got some striking, but primarily has a very strong ground game, whereas Yancy's known for a stand-up game. I'm going to take Damon in this one because from what I've seen with Yancy, I just have not been impressed with him at all. He's gotten to the big stage, and it just seems like he's kind of froze. And that could very well happen to Jackson as well, but, you have that unknown with Jackson and with Yancy not looking so good that I'm going to go with the UFC newcomer on this one.
All right. Mr. Fontanez, give us your thoughts.
Well, I've learned over time that UFC jitters are a real, genuine thing. And for guys coming into the organization, even if they're fighting on an undercard and next to nobody's watching them, they get really nervous. And they really don't know how to approach the atmosphere and how to approach stepping into the octagon for the first time. And I don't know Damon Jackson very well. I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen any of his fights. I know that he came from the Legacy Fighting Championships, and that league is known for bringing up a lot of grappling talent. And I'm not going to take anything away from Jackson because he is 9-0, fighting professionally. Mind you, it's been outside of the UFC, but UFC, the difference between UFC caliber and up and coming it's been a blurry line in recent years, especially this year. It's just, sometimes you got a guy that's coming in that impresses right off the bat. Other times you have a guy that, experiences those jitters. So it's tough for me to really say that Jackson's going to lose because Yancy Medeiros has a bunch of fights in the UFC. But then again, I know guys that are on losing streaks and haven't found a win in consecutive fights, that starts to mess with their minds and starts to mess with their heads. And once that happens, you can't necessarily put it all together, so to speak, in a fight. So it's like a 50-50 thing with me. There's Medeiros who's on the losing streak, and there's Jackson who's never been inside the octagon. If I was to put money on it, I'm not really much of a betting man, but if I was to put some salary on this, I would probably say Medeiros, only because with Jackson making his debut and it being on pay-per-view, that's typically the biggest fight card that you could get on in terms of a debut. It might be the opener of the pay-per-view, but it's still, the top of the crop in terms of UFC fight cards. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Medeiros on this one.
I absolutely agree with you in the fact that this is really a pick and fight. It could go either way. I mean, Damon's biggest win is over Leonard Garcia. No disrespect to Leonard, but he's not an elite level fighter. He comes to fight every time, but his overall skills are not elite. That's why the UFC released him. With that being said,
his ground game, Garcia's ground game, while he knows what he's doing on the ground most of the time, it isn't necessarily the best. And Jackson, being a grappler, he submitted Garcia. That just goes to show that Jackson might have had an easy way into the UFC by beating a guy that he's far better than on the ground. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I felt it was important to make that point.
No, that's perfect. That's an excellent point, and that's how we do it on the show. Jump in whenever you have a thought. That's what the people want to hear, and that's exactly right. I think he did, and I don't want to take anything away from the other 8 guys that he's beat, but I do think he had an easy road into the UFC, and I think if you look at Maris's tough time in the UFC, I mean, he lost to Hustam Khabilov. No shame there, and it was the thumb injury that caused the TKO. Then he actually knocked out Yves Edwards, got the no contest because he tested positive for the performance-enhancing drug of marijuana, and then he was dominated by Jim Miller, and again, there's no shame in that. So I do think Medeiros is the more experienced fighter. I think if as long as he can keep this fight standing and take advantage of his experience, he should get the victory. So I'm going with Medeiros. All right, let's move right along. Ramsey Najim versus Carlos Diego Ferreira. Shelky, start us off on this one.
Oh, geez, I get to go first again?
Oh,
Thanks,
no, let's
Josh.
go, Eric. I'm sorry. Let's go, Eric. Eric, start us off on this one.
Sure thing, guys. This is another fight where you got a guy that doesn't have a whole lot of UFC experience, and then a guy with far more UFC experience in Ramsey Najim. And I'm gonna go out on a limb and just say that UFC experience is always going to trump guys that don't have a lot of time inside of the octagon. It's like I said, it's a different atmosphere. It's a different beast. If you don't know how to deal with that mentally, I'm not saying he can't deal with it. And another thing that I'm not saying is that he can't deal with it physically. I'm sure these guys are top tier athletes capable of handling a lot physically. But the mental game is 50% of this, if not more. If you're not focused, if your head is not in the right place, you could find a quick exit in the first round. So, with Najim having the resume to really back up, the momentum going into the pay-per-view card, I'm going to go ahead and pick him in this one.
Shelky.
I actually agree with Eric on this one. I'm going to take Ramsey Najim.
Oh, you actually agree with me? That's sweet of you. Thank you.
I do. I know. I'm such a nice guy, Eric. I mean, deep down inside.
You really are, Shelky. The check's in the mail, man.
Hey, thanks, man. It better not bounce.
It probably will. I write about MMA after all.
Yeah, we're all broke asses. Anyway, when you look at Diego Ferreira, I mean, he does have a very good ground game, and he's another one of these guys that's coming from Legacy, but his biggest win is over Carlo Prater. I mean, we all know Prater. He's a journeyman, been around the sport a long time. He was in that god-awful Shine Fights tournament back in the day, that debacle. He's been around for a minute, but he is a journeyman and a solid fighter. However, since then, his last 3 wins have come by decision over what one would call not exactly elite-level competition, whereas Ramsey Najim, I mean, he's been in there with Miles Jury, he's been in there with James Vick, he's been in there with Justin Edwards, who knocked out James Krause again in the Ultimate Fighter House. So, I mean, just from a level of competition standpoint, Ramsey's definitely fought the better level competition. And, to be honest, Ferreira is he spent 2 minutes inside the octagon? Is that what it took him to submit Colton Smith in his debut? It wasn't very long, so he doesn't have much time. And so I think that Najim's career in the UFC and fighting that higher tier opposition will give him the edge in this bout. And I think I'm going to take him by decision.
Well, this really sucks because I hate to do this, but I'm going to have to make it unanimous. I also agree. I think just over there's more ways for Ramsey to win this fight. If he's going to lose this fight, it's because he gets submitted on the ground. He's not going to get outstruck. He's not going to get outclinched. He's not going to get outworked. If he loses this fight, it's because he's caught sleeping and he gets submitted. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he has more ways to win. I'm looking for him to walk away with the decision. Up next, Shayna Baszler, former blogger for the MMA Corner, against the Four Horsemen hater, Beth Correa. All right, I'll go ahead and start this one off. First off, I love Beth. I think she's one hell of a fighter on the rise. I certainly would not want to fight this girl. I think she's a beast. She knows how to fight bigger, taller, lengthier opponents. She knows how to get inside. She knows how to do the things that she needs to do to be effective and win fights. Now, while I love Shayna Baszler to death, I really do, she has not fought since January of 2013. As Jason Shelke pointed out to me with his math skills before the show started, that's 1 year and 9 months. That is a long time to be without a real fight. Yes, she fought Juliana Pena on the reality show and got worked. She has not had any kind of fight time, plus she's coming off injury. I think this is a bad matchup for her. I really do. My heart wants to pick Shayna, it really does, but my head and everything about me that covers MMA says, first off, she's getting up there in years. She's coming off an injury. She hasn't fought in a long time. Beth has the fire right now, just like Juliana did when she was able to beat Shayna. I think Beth's not going to be afraid of her. I think she's going to be able to go out there and work her game plan, and I think Beth is going to find a way to get this victory. Sorry, Shayna. Eric, give us your thoughts.
Well, I am fascinated by the way she pronounces her name, Bethe Correia. Every time I hear that on TV, I think, does she realize what that means in English? I don't know. I'm not sure she cares, and I'm sure if somebody tried to tell that to her in English or Portuguese, she would probably wreck shop and they'd regret their decision immediately. Shayna, you said it yourself. She was on the reality show and she did her thing there, but that wasn't a professional fight. It was considered an amateur bout because it was the show. And she is yet to fight in the UFC. This is officially her UFC debut. So when you got your debut coming in, and you're going up against somebody who has been basically running through everybody and topping every single one of her fights, it's tough for me to pick Shayna in this one. So I'm going to go ahead and call Bethe Correia winning this one, and I'm going to predict that she'll fight number 3 on the 4 horsewoman team. What was it? She beat Duke. She's going to beat Baszler. What was the third one? Not Rousey, but
Shelke, jump in here. You're all over the 4 horsewomen.
I wish.
She's not even in the UFC, but she's Rousey's little buddy.
Yeah, she's in Invicta, and it's killing me. And I would pronounce her name correctly, but I have to be honest. First off, I'm terrible with foreign languages and that kind of stuff. So it's Marina Shafir is the other one.
Marina Shafir. And I know Marina. I brain farted on that one. But yeah, if Marina was in the UFC, I would predict that Bethe would get her next, and then that would set up the Rousey showdown. Because of course, if they're the 4 horsewomen, we gotta follow the professional wrestling storyline with you beat every single member of my team, and now you're going down. Oh yeah!
Woo! Woo! Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So,
if I could do the Macho Madness, I'd have that in there too.
Well, actually, a quick story about Macho Man. Michael McDonald, the UFC 125-pounder. I interviewed him probably about 3 years ago, and the interview, I really didn't have a lot of interview questions for him, but I said, okay, well, let's chat on camera. So we're chatting on camera, and then he breaks out into this Macho Man Randy Savage dialogue with me. I didn't know why he did it. I mean, he was talking about how when he was hanging out with his boys growing up, they would always try to do professional wrestling stuff. And so he was the Macho Man, and he'd always say stuff like, "Ooh, yeah, I'm going to take it off the top rope." And McDonald was just the best because he would, not only would he say these things, he'd also do the body language where he'd be like pointing with the finger, like veins popping out of his neck, and pointing up and saying, "Hey, yo, freak show, get down here," and things like that. So any Macho Man reference, I'm completely down with. But back to the serious stuff. The serious stuff, guys. The important things that the people watching this nonsense for some reason want to watch.
Exactly. The MMA.
Because that's what it is. Oh, my.
Oh, wait. By the way, Josh, didn't you say you were looking forward to me calling you an idiot?
Yes.
You're an idiot.
Thank you. See, and now
You're
the whole world got to hear it. We love that. Shelky, do you want to call me an idiot too?
No,
Or do you just want to make your pick?
I call you a lot worse on a daily basis, but one thing really quick, Macho Man, rest his soul. Anyway, no, I'm with you guys. I'm gonna be number 3. As much as I hate to agree with everybody once again, but here's another thing that Teddy Atlas always brings up on Friday Night Fights. You know, Betch, I hope I'm saying that right. She's undefeated, and when you don't know the taste of defeat, you have that drive to continue to not taste, get that taste of defeat in your mouth. And with, everything that Baszler has said, and with everything that, Betch, I mean, she's had 2 good performances in UFC already, and with everything Baszler has going against her, I just don't see this ending well for Baszler whatsoever.
Oh, and again, it's disappointing because Shane has always been good to the MMA Corner, but we are unbiased.
Shayna Baszler! Oh, your blood are outstanding! Oh, yeah! I like the way you type on your MacBook.
Oh, that's beautiful. All right. I don't even know how to continue anymore. We have Danny Castillo versus Tony Ferguson up next. I do think maybe we might disagree on this one. Let's start with Shelky.
I like El Kukui. I really do in this one. Castillo, he's getting up there in years, and the only way he is winning this fight is if he gets El Kukui on his back. Nobody in the UFC has been able to take down Tony Ferguson, ever. And Tony hits like a truck at 155. He has really strong hands. And I think that this is a really bad matchup for Castillo. So like I said, the only way he's winning this is if he gets the fight on the mat, and I don't see that happening. I think Kukui, I think he's going to use his reach. I think he's going to pick him apart from the outside. If he can get that jab working early, it's going to be, Dan Castillo's going to have a bad night. He's going to get face busted up, and Castillo's going to score a second-round TKO. I mean, Ferguson is going to get the second-round TKO.
No, you got that right. Castillo's going to get the second-round TKO. And no, that is going to be my pick. I have to disagree. I think Danny Castillo in his backyard is going to figure out a way to put Ferguson on his butt for the first time and grind out a victory. I don't know if he's going to get a TKO or a finish, but I do look for him to somehow get the victory. Eric, give us your thoughts. Tiebreaker, what's up?
I will start this by sharing a short story about Danny Castillo. Danny evidently doesn't know how to use Twitter. He one day decided to tweet out a phone number. It was an area code 650. I don't remember the next 7 digits. I wouldn't repeat it anyway, but it was just the word yeah and then phone number. And I'm thinking to myself, he must think he's direct messaging somebody. but he said it publicly, and so I didn't even retweet it. I just said, looks like Danny Castillo tweeted out his phone number. And evidently, that led to a lot of people, based off of my tweet, or his, because he has, 20 times more followers than I do? People were calling that number a whole bunch. I said that during the evening. The following afternoon, I get a tweet from him, and it's written in an angry tone, if you could read angry. He basically said, I tweet out my phone number, and you retweet it, which I didn't, let's be clear, and you retweet it? What the fuck? And so I'm like, is there a problem with me tweeting that you tweeted your phone number? And he said, yeah, duh. Like, he kept going on. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm trying to wrap my mind around this. Okay, so Danny, you're mad at me because I said that you publicly tweeted your phone number. Hey then. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and file this under I don't know what the fuck. And he ended up deleting a few of the tweets that he sent to me. And, maybe a half hour later or 45 minutes later, tweeted something like, it was somebody else's phone number, and somebody else is dealing with this problem. Oh, my God, it's so terrible. Like, dude.
Oh, my.
If your publicist is a 12-year-old with Down syndrome, it's making you look really bad. Because that's what it's looking like, right? Because it just looked terrible. But and then there's oh, by the way, Shoki, can you say Tony Ferguson's nickname again?
El Kukui.
One more time.
Fuck off.
That's not his nickname. I love the way you say El Kukui. And, before you even said the name Tony Ferguson, when you were talking about your pick, you just kept saying El Kukui. El Kukui. And I was laughing a little inside. I was just like, I love Jason. But anyway, Tony, in comparison to Castillo, from my personal experience with him, has been a lot better. I interviewed him, and he gave me all the time in the world. And I typically like to make my useless fight picks based on which interview has treated me best. So I'm picking Ferguson in this one. And since I've revealed that I make my fight picks based off of how well my interviews go, I will always pick against Alistair Overeem.
I second that part.
So yeah, El Kukui for the win.
Thanks, Fontanez.
You're welcome,
All right.
Jason.
El Kukui. That's two votes for El Kukui.
You have to say it with some umph, though. You have to say El Kukui.
El Kukui.
El
He
Kukui.
sounds like a used car salesman. Hey man, you got to check out this ride. They call it the El Kukui. It's a pussy magnet, I tell you.
Oh, God.
Take it for a test spin. Then you can tell all your friends you've ridden the El Kukui.
Let's hear it, Jason, one more time from the master.
El Kukui. Is that better?
Yes!
All right.
Or can I do it in my game show voice? El Kukui!
All right, now that...
No, that kind of ruined it. That kind of ruined it. All right.
Now I don't even like you anymore.
You never liked me, Fontanez. Shut up.
You don't have to be so mean about it.
Seriously, Shelky, why are you so rude?
I'm sorry. I'm being very rude to our guest. I am so sorry, Eric. I love you.
No, he's not going to want to come back, and it'll be all your fault. That's not cool.
You're a great man with
I do feel emotionally scarred at the moment, so I don't think I could ever do this again. All because of you, Jason.
The Prozac's in the mail.
Get the gift packet out. Return the check when it gets there. Do the right thing.
Okay.
It's gonna bounce anyway. Don't even worry about it.
As if this whole show hasn't been a main event of something. Some people call it bullshit. But in all seriousness, TJ Dillashaw, and Barao II. Actually, Eric, start us off on this one.
I'm very, very excited for this fight. Yeah, Renan Barao, he very good. He very good at the striking, the jiu-jitsu, at I don't know about the wrestling very much, but the jiu-jitsu is very good. And I think I pick him to win by knockout first round, 7 seconds. He's going to win this because Dillashaw, you get lucky. You get lucky the very first time. Yeah, you know, you very, 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 very excited for the fight, but it's normal.
Anderson Silva, ladies and gentlemen. Anderson Silva, thank you for joining the show.
I don't even know. I don't even know how to move on after Anderson, but Mr. Shelkey.
You know, I'm taking Barao as well.
I was just kidding, by the way. I'm picking Dillashaw because he destroyed him in the first fight. So, go ahead.
I'm taking Barao for different reasons. Yes,
I was coming back to you, Eric. I was going to let Anderson leave the set and then come back, but that's cool.
Okay.
No, well, you know, Dillashaw did come in. He was not really a last-minute replacement, but he did take the championship fight against Renan Barao, who many considered a stone cold killer, on somewhat short notice. And it is my personal opinion that Renan Barao took TJ Dillashaw very lightly in that fight. Probably wasn't expecting much because the kid was only he was like 2-1 or 2-2 in the UFC at that point, somewhere right around there, if I remember correctly. I know he'd won 2 out of his last 3. That much I do know. And so, in my opinion, the way Barao was just running through people, he was probably thinking, this dude, he's stepping up from from low part of the main card. He's going to face me. I'm going to wreck him. But then after Dillashaw didn't crumble within that first round, you can just see Barao's body language. He was like, oh, shit, what have I gotten into? And it just kept on going downhill from there. But as good a fighter as Barao is, I think that he's going to be able to adapt, and this time he's going to know what he's up against, and he's going to be much better prepared than he was in the first match. He's going to go in there, and I think that he's going to put the beating on Dillashaw. I still think Dillashaw's first fight against Barao is one of the best fights I've seen in my whole life watching this sport. I absolutely love that fight, but I do think that Barao is going to come out with the fire underneath his ass this one, and I think he's going to do what he thought he was going to do in the first fight.
Because there's somebody out there, we'll call him Stat Boy, that I'm sure is just sitting there talking all kinds of crap about any inappropriate facts that anybody might get wrong. So, just so we're clear, TJ Dillashaw was 5-2 when he went into the fight with Renan Barao. He was coming off a victory over Mike Easton after his loss to Rafael Santos. Now, moving right along. TJ's going to win this fight as far as I'm concerned. He went out there, flat out, just beat the crap out of Renan Barao, something that I didn't think that anybody in that division could do. He made Renan Barao look like a little girl, to be honest. Anything he wanted to do in that fight, he was able to do. And here's why I don't think Renan Barao is going to win. In the immediate rematch, people very seldom win that because there's not enough time for you to make adjustments that you need to make to overcome the ass whooping that you just sustained. I'm not a fighter, but I have trained and I have managed fighters, and I do know that when they're training for a fight, they're not working on anything new. They're trying to hone the skills that they already have. Well, here's the deal. TJ Dillashaw proved that the skills you already have aren't good enough at the moment. And if he comes back in with that same game plan, Dillashaw is going to beat the crap out of him again. So I do think that TJ is going to get a victory. I look for another dominant performance from him. With that being said, holy shit, let's wind up the show. Eric, give us your final thoughts.
Just to circle back to the Barao Dillashaw fight on a serious note, TJ Dillashaw surprised the hell out of everyone, more than Renan Barao. He surprised me. He surprised a lot of our colleagues, a lot of fans. Nobody thought he was capable of what he did the last time these two guys fought. And then I saw a GIF today on Twitter of Dillashaw's footwork. I think a lot of people can recognize that footwork. It's just like Dominic Cruz, and Dominic is a puzzle that when he was fighting, a lot of guys couldn't figure out, and Dillashaw has taken that style and applied it to in the same division and approaching the same dangerous athletes. The GIF that I saw was Dillashaw being light on his feet and Barao throwing a front kick, and the front kick came quickly, but Dillashaw, working his footwork, was able to parry the front kick, turn to another angle, and throw a right hand and caught Barao. And he was able to do that, or things like that, for all 5 rounds in their last fight. Barao is an outstanding fighter, really dangerous, an incredible striker. But when you got a guy like that can move and make decisions within a split second faster than the guy for 25 consecutive, faster than the guy he's fighting for 25 consecutive minutes, that doesn't just up and change in the very next fight. I don't think Barao is, like you said, had enough time to really make adjustments, to really find out where he went wrong after his last fight. That's why I'm picking Dillashaw. The guy is a phenomenal talent that, like I said, surprised me, surprised everyone. I think he's going to continue the same wrecking ball mentality against Barao that he did in the first fight.
Now, Shelky, because we do like you, we don't want you to be wrong. So I will give you the opportunity to change your pick if you would like.
That's going to be a big negative, Ghost Rider. I'm still taking Barao on this one. I may be in Crow Saturday night, but if I am, I am.
Some people like to be. That's just how it goes, and that's cool. All in all, fight fans, all kidding aside, while I said that this card is a tough one to fork over your cash for, I will say this. To see Renan Barao, TJ Dillashaw too, I do think it's a fight worth paying for the simple fact that if we see anything like the flat-out schoolyard ass-whooping education that TJ Dillashaw put on Renan Barao in the last fight, then it'll definitely be worth any money that you guys put out. So definitely check out the card. I do want to thank my special guest, Eric Fontanez. Thank you for joining the show, brother.
Thank you for having me, man. It was fun.
Now, definitely check out MMA Weekly. Check out all of Eric's work. Check out all of Campishna's work. We do love MMA Weekly here at the MMA Corner. Those guys have always been good to us. We are definitely big supporters. So again, Eric Fontanez, MMA Weekly. Go check his stuff out. Follow him on Twitter if you're not already. Eric, what's your Twitter handle?
It is at Eric_Fontanez. Eric is spelled ERIK_FONTANEZ. Give me a follow. I'd love to tweet at you.
Yeah, one of these
or
days,
make fun of you, depending on who you are.
Eric, I'll give you back your original Twitter handle.
Was that you? Tell me that was you.
No, it wasn't.
Damn it. Man, I
wish I was that awesome to be able to
do
dude,
that. I have no idea who it is. Whomever decided to steal my Twitter handle when I changed mine momentarily one weekend, they came in at the very right moment, took my handle, and have had it ever since. I even filed something with Twitter saying that somebody's impersonating me, and they suspended the account, but I can't change it back to the original handle. But it's no biggie. Eric_Fontanez will have to do from here until forever.
And
there you go.
Josh, one last thing before we go. I also want to thank Eric. A lot of people don't know this, but he was kind of my mentor going way, way back to our BR days. Been a friend, my first follower on Twitter. for better or worse, he's the one that mentored me and kept me in this game. So thank you, Eric. Really appreciate it, brother. And thank you for being on with us, man.
Pleasure's all mine, man. I appreciate that, and I know that you and I have had conversations over the phone before about the trials and tribulations and frustrations of this industry, and I've appreciated those conversations too, and look forward to more.
Cheers, my man.
See, everybody loves Eric. Everybody hates Josh. We'll have to fix that. I just don't know what's up.
I like you, Josh. I like you, even though you're an idiot.
See, there we go. There we go. I'm a fun-loving idiot, though, and that's the truth. Seriously, though, fight fans, go to MMA Weekly. They definitely have you covered. If there's anything that you can't find there, you know where it's at. It's on the MMAcorner.com. All your videos, everything you need. Definitely check out one of the two sites. We will be back Saturday night immediately following the event doing the post-fight recap, letting you guys know that we were right about everything and you should have bet all your money based on our picks. Then we will be back on Sunday with the new show. For Eric Fontanez, MMA Weekly. For Jason Shelkey, the MMA Corner, I am Josh Davis. We'll catch you next time. Peace.